afternoon, y'all. I hope that you all had a chance to look over the PowerPoint that I submitted earlier. This is towards the end of that PowerPoint, talking about how we're going to figure out how much of different substances or what concentration we need of different substances to figure out how much we need. So remember that in this PowerPoint, we talked about this formula where we have the volume of our acid times the molarity of our acid, which is going to be equal to the volume of our base times the molarity of our base. So you can see here that we have a problem to start with. It tells me we have 100 milliliters of HBr, right, which is mixed with 250 milliliters of 0.6 molar KOH. Whoops, sorry y'all, of KOH. This OH is a huge hint that this is going to be a base, and this H at the front tells us that this is going to be my acid. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start by plugging in these numbers. So we have 100 milliliters for my volume of my acid times, right, I'm looking for what is the concentration of HBr. What is my acid concentration? So Ma is going to be my unknown. And then I want my volume of base. Remember, that's measured in milliliters. So we have 250 milliliters times my concentration, that's 0.6 molar. Right? So just like if we were in math class, we're going to simplify this. 250 milliliters times 0.6 is going to give me 150 milliliters, or 150, which is going to be equal to 100 milliliters times my molarity concentration of my acid. So I'm just going to finish getting that molarity of the acid by itself by dividing by 100 milliliters, right? So 150 divided by 100 is going to give me a molarity of the acid of 1.5 molar, right? So that's our first problem. I'll try and go a little slower with the next one. So the next one tells me it takes 180 milliliters of 1.2 molar HCl to neutralize a 0.75 molar solution of NaOH. How much NaOH did I start with? And let's go back a little bit to how we've been doing some of these in class. So we know we have four things. We have the volume of acid, we have our molarity of acid, we have our volume of base, and our molarity of the base, right? So these are my three options, or my four options, sorry. So we can go through this problem, we can try and identify this, right? So remember the last problem? I said OH is a good indicator of a base, and this H up front is a good indicator of an acid. So let's look and see if we can figure this out. If it takes 180 milliliters of 1.2 molar HCl, right? So HCl is our acid. So what can we put in as our volume of our acid? And that's 180 milliliters. Volume is measured in milliliters, and this one goes with our acid. We're also given the molarity, right? This big M tells us that this is molarity, and it goes with this one, which is our acid. So we have 1.2 molar HCl. We keep reading, and it says that we can neutralize a 0.57 molar solution of NaOH, right? This OH tells me this is a base, and this molar tells me I have a concentration. So I'm going to go put this down here at the MB, so 0.75. Right, so we're looking for this, right? This is what we're missing. Just like before, we wrote down our givens, we wrote down what we're missing. So let's set up this equation where we have VA times, whoops, let's see, we're just going to write over it. Sorry, y'all. MA is equal to VB times MB, right? So let's go plug it in because we've got them all listed here. 180 milliliters times 1.2 molar is equal to VB is my question mark times 0.75 molar, right? So the first thing I have to do is I have to multiply these 180 times 1.2 molar, and if I do that, I get 216, which is going to be equal to the volume of my base times 0.75 molar, the concentration of my base. We want to get that VB all by itself, so we do 0.75 molar on each side. Apologies. Right, we're going to divide over here, and once we do that, we get 288 milliliters is equal to the volume of the base. Right, which should make sense. You can always double check this. If I start with 180 of a 1.2, I have a 0.75. This is less concentrated, right? There's less of the OH in the solution, and the OH and the H have to equal each other. So from here, whichever one has a smaller concentration, it's going to need a bigger volume. Conversely, there's a bigger volume, it's going to mean there's a weaker concentration. Okay, last problem. If it takes 64 milliliters of a 0.1 molar NaOH solution to neutralize 125 milliliters of HCl, what is the concentration of HCl? We're going to start again with what we're given. So we've got VA, MA, VB, and MB, right? So we've got these all listed here. Let's go through this problem, right? So if you read it over on your own, what are our hints about what is a base and what is an acid? Right, this OH tells me this is a base. What about the acid? Right, the H at the front is a great indicator of an acid, so this is my A. From there, let's see what else we can figure out. Do I have a volume for my acid? Anybody find it? Exactly, it's 100. Whew, I'm having all sorts of problems with my pens today. It's 125 milliliters, right? So I can put that in here as my volume of acid. What about my concentration of my acid? Yeah, some of you are pointing to this. This is my question. What is the concentration? So I don't know what this is. That's my question mark. Volume of the base. Yep, just like we were thinking, 64 milliliters goes with this NaOH, and milliliters tells me it's a volume, which means my last value is a 0.1 molar concentration. So just like before, we put this into our final problem, times MA is equal to VB times MB. So if we look at that here, let's plug it in. 125 milliliters times MA is equal to 64 milliliters times 0.1 molar. We're going to do our math, so we know that 125 milliliters times MA is equal to 6.4. Right? So what we can do is we can divide both sides by 125, and we get a concentration of 0.0512 molar. Hopefully you'll notice here that just like we were talking about before, that we have more volume here. Remember, whichever one has more volume has to have this lower concentration. 0.05 is smaller than 0.1 molar. Hopefully going through a couple of those problems was helpful for you all. Please email me, leave comments on the video, however you want to get a hold of me if you need more help or more instruction, and just let me know. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day.